Smoking is harmful. We know that it is harmful. And we know that smoking cigarettes, people become addicted. I've talked to people that have struggled to try to quit from smoking. They can't quit. And you know, my point here is, folks, that this is harmful. It's not appropriate, whether it's private or not private. We know that it does. Why would they create a law to prohibit you from smoking in those public facilities?
For health reasons with the secondhand smoke, Senator, but those are public buildings.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Questions, please.
Senator Pankitin, will you yield to a question?
Do I have to?
It is at your option, Senator.
Okay, I will.
Senator Pankitin, we are friends from many years ago, correct?
Where is this going?
Before I attack you, I just wanted the members to know that your wife and I were in college together and we are friends. But I would question you when you brought up the health costs of smoking. Do you have numbers on those health costs?
Well, for example, yesterday, Senator Hansen and I heard in the hall that, so, you know, how valid is that? But that
Mine's open on this. Get me the numbers. If you can prove to me, that we're going to save money in this state, get me the numbers. Are we going to put a scale outside restaurants? Are we going to say, oh, I'm sorry, Deb, but you're a little heavy today. You can't come in for lunch. Be politically smart. You know, we're politicians.
My remarks, first of all, addressing a comment to Senator Chambers. First of all, I believe and I study the Bible. I refer to it as the Bible. I'd appreciate if you would. I believe what it says. I try and base my behavior on what I learn from it. I believe, based on what it says, that when I die, I know where I'm going, and I look forward to getting there. However, in this month, I've developed a real admiration for you, for the way you express yourself. I've come to realize that you operate and you conduct yourself based on principles. So do I. This morning you spoke about the evil of inflicting something harmful on others, being secondhand smoke. I've heard you talk about the principle of protecting those who can't protect themselves, the children. The worst environment for the damage of smoke on children is in the home. Our laws protect children.
Thank you, Madam President. Yesterday, I was worshiping at the coffee urn, and I came back onto the floor, and Senator Chambers, with the light of a leprechaun in his eyes, said, "It is a pleasure to see a professional attorney, a member of the bar, a man who is admitted, though not necessarily welcome, to practice in every court in this fine state, to be skewered by a member of the lay profession." And I was transfixed by it. I was, as a really esteemed senator once said years ago in debate, it was as though I was hit in the head with an oil-soaked 2x4. And when I recovered a moment, I was just stunned. I felt like I was pinned to the wall like a butterfly on a little boy's collection by the fact that Oliver Wendell Holmes was quoted to me, the great Justice Holmes, by one of my esteemed colleagues. And may I ask, Madam President, will Senator Aguilar please rise and yield to a question?
Senator Aguilar, will you respond to a question?
Of course I will. Senator Aguilar, I am in awe. You quoted Justice Holmes with regards to uttering the words "fire in a crowded theater." to explain the limits of
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the body. I feel like the young ladies on Hee-Haw this morning who have said, I don't repeat gossip, so listen closely the first time. I don't smoke. In the early years of my life, when those habits may be formed, I simply couldn't afford to smoke. I'm older now, and I still can't afford to smoke. It's a little bit like setting fire to a rolled-up $20 bill, or maybe even two $20 bills. At the time...
We'll talk about the Bible here. Does it say, thou shalt not smoke, anybody? And it's a freedom of choice. And what does our Pledge of Allegiance say? One nation under God. Some of us don't believe in God, but we say the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's freedom of choice. And I have a freedom if Arnie has a bar and everybody's smoking in there, I don't have to go in there. Or if Tom has a bar, I don't have to go in there. If I go out for athletics, yeah, I used to smoke, but my parents never smoked. And they died of cancer. And my grandfather and grandmother, he smoked like the Dickens. He never died. Is it something in the environment? We got to look at our environment. You live close to a power plant. You breathe these particles from a coal-fired power plant, you're probably not going to live as long as a smoker. And so it's far beyond smoking, folks. And let's not put another law in the books that our police have to enforce, our local, our bar owners, restaurant owners, and most of my constituents will probably vote for a smoking ban. But let's think about this where we put another law in the books, and I'd yield the rest of my... some people complaining about dust going across the highway. In your buildings, in your hog buildings, in your confinement buildings, there's dust. And it causes lung cancer. That's my uncle died of lung cancer. He's in the hog building all of his life. So are we going to outlaw hogs? We're going to outlaw cattle? Where are we going? Somebody said, where are we going? It's pretty scary when we try to tell everybody what's best for them. And that's up to the personal responsibility. It's called personal responsibility, accountability for your own health, your own actions, and where you go to eat or drink. Are we going to outlaw alcohol? Alcohol kills a lot of people. We're going to outlaw alcohol. We just will outlaw tobacco, alcohol, what else? We can go right up and down the line.
The main issue that we got to decide on is, is this something that what one person can legally do, does it affect someone else? And it does, because it's a secondhand smoke.
One of the other things that we certainly should touch on is this. It's my business, and I can have people there that I want. They don't have to work here. They don't have to eat there. Well, I touched on that a little bit in my opening.
We need to be honest about a cigarette tax. Last session, Senator Bourne had an amendment up on Senator Thompson's bill to ban smoking that would have taken that cigarette tax away from the city of Lincoln because they had a ban on cigarettes. That was fought, because Lincoln wasn't willing to give up the tax that they're getting from cigarettes. I don't get it. I don't understand that. If cigarettes are so bad, ban the sale of cigarettes in the state of Nebraska. I would hope that maybe some senators from Omaha would address an issue, because Senator Johnson said that this bill follows the ban that the city of Lincoln has. I don't know how that affects the ban in the city of Omaha and what would happen to the city of Omaha's ban that their city council voted on if this bill is passed. I don't see Senator Lathrop here. I do see Senator White. Any other senators? Nelson, Persh, if you would like to speak to that, I'd appreciate it. Because how does passing this bill affect your city, and what your city council, your local elected officials decided to do with the smoking ban. How does this affect you? Thank you.
It's a matter of food safety for myself, not to contaminate my foods to get someone sick. The things that I produce.
Time.
Body this morning on Valentine's Day. I really appreciate that. I was raised in a home with two smokers. My mom and my dad both smoked. Secondhand smoke was a part of our daily life. Didn't know any better about it. But I really think that I'm certainly not saying that I'm a victim of secondhand smoke, but I'm a product or at least an offspring of secondhand smoke, and I think it's stunted my growth. We don't know how big I'd have got without secondhand smoke. I always thought I'd like to be a sumo wrestler, but I'm not going to make it. So, yeah. Well, my libertarian friends said no more government interference. We want the private marketplace to set the rules and all that. Well, Bob in the front row, he got up and he, I've been a smoker for 40 years, and I don't see why we have to worry about secondhand smoke. I said, well, that sounds like it, Bob. Bob was one of my libertarian friends, and he doesn't think that we need to do anything about secondhand smoke. I'm sorry, Senator Chambers, I'm not speaking to the bill, or to your bracket motion, but no one else is either. So I meant to start by saying that. But anyway, if Senator White goes out to dinner, and I hope he has a beefsteak, but that secondhand cholesterol, no matter how prime a piece of meat that is not going to affect anybody else. You can't say that about secondhand smoke. A high school girl in attendance Saturday said that, you know, a high school girl, she has good hearing, she has good seeing, she smells well, or she smells good. She smelled both ways, but she had a good olfactory system.
Thank you, Madam President, members. I would just like to go back to a couple things I said, and I realized the feces on the floor probably wasn't the best thing to say. What I'm talking about, and since most of you are probably more affluent than I and don't have to do manual labor, is when you butcher an animal or bring it into a meat locker and you butcher it, yes, you get that on the floor. I'm sorry if you don't like that, and if you don't clean it up and you walk through it and you walk through your front of your store, you get it everywhere. That's what I'm talking about by feces on the floor, not human, spread on purpose. Senator Pankinen is one person that I admire quite a lot, but I am not here to worry about being reelected in 4 years. I'd love to be, but I think I need to get up and speak my mind. And if speaking my mind gets me chastised by Senator Chambers and Senator Aguilar and whoever else wants to, fine. I am also not scared. I'm not owned by anyone either except my mother and my wife and my kids. So that's fine. I'm here. I have the same rights, the same 38,000, 35,000 people back home also. I don't know why, when it is that we disagree with you, Senator Chambers, that we do get chastised. This is the first time that I have done that, of course, because, hey, at least I'm getting my name right now out here in the body. Thank you. Maybe this is what it took. But just because I feel differently, I don't feel that I should have to get blasted personally. But if I do, that's fine. I have to stand up for myself. In a protected environment growing up, Senator Chambers, I'm sure that you could just pick up the phone to Wilbur, Nebraska and find out how I grew up. And off the mic, if you would like to discuss that, I would be glad to with you. The reason I'm here is because I have stood up for myself since I was small and the things that I've gone through. So until you know that, don't assume just because I'm white that I've had an easy upbringing either. I don't disagree that this will pass sometime down the road. I will die sometime down the road too, but I will not do it until my time. And I'll keep fighting for every last breath. Although if I go into these bars, they might be wheezy breaths. Again, I know that this is a very emotional tough subject. I am not going to threaten to hold up any other bills. I am not going to threaten to not like any of you if you disagree with me. But I am here to do what I feel is right and what I said I would do. And if that's what happens, then it happens. I don't like that it is drawing this big line in the sand right now. But again, you have to stand up for what you feel is right. And I will not be intimidated. I will not have the lobby tell me what I will or will not do. If I agree with the lobby, I'm going to use them. If I disagree with them, I won't. Again, when I started this campaign, I had 0 PAC dollars in the primary election. Got within 5% of a sitting senator. I'm not scared of that either. And if at the end of 4 years my constituents decide that I blew it and they don't want me here, then I'll go back to my life with my wife and my kids and my smoky meat market and do that and maybe make some money. But until then, I will do what I feel is right, and I will voice my opinion, and I will take the barbs. I know I'm an easy target. I make myself that way. I do that on purpose because I feel if everyone's picking on me, number one, it's attention, but number two, they're leaving someone else alone. I might not be the duck grease, as we would say in Wilbur, instead of the goose grease, and I'm not that smooth. But that's me, and I'm not going to change. That's what got me here, is being me, being honest, and fighting for what I believe. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Aguilar, you are recognized to speak.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Senator Karpyshek. I, for one, enjoy your participation in this debate, and I think you have a lot to add to it. And just one more thing, your mom called. She said, get off the filibuster. Senator Fisher, I'll address this next comment to you. I want to go on officially on the record. I am willing to give up the cigarette tax. So we can take that out of the argument. I'm on the record. I'm willing to give up that cigarette tax. And the reason I am is because I know how much money the state would save if this bill were to pass. I'm a little bit bothered by the statement you keep saying. You keep saying, if cigarettes are so bad, if they're so bad. Let me just say they are. And it's not just me. It's the Surgeon General of the United States. They are bad. So can we qualify that? Can we accept that as a fact? They are bad. They do kill people, even people that don't smoke from secondhand smoke. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I did want to, while I have the mic, say to Senator Johnson, Senator Johnson, thank you. Thank you for introducing this bill. It was a very brave move on your part. And I also want to thank you for the many lives you saved as a surgeon. What a contribution to the state of Nebraska.